Good morning, all of you. Alright, so today we will start with a new chapter in history, attempts to civilize and educate the native. Alright, now the Britishers, they by this time they have established their rule over a large part of India and about two-thirds of the Indian subcontinent, this continent, and so now the Britishers they turn their attention towards their mission of civilizing. They thought that the Indians were uncivilized people which needed to be civilized, means they didn't know how to live properly, and so they should teach the Indians how to live a proper civilized life. And they also wanted to impart education to the Indians, the natives here, the Indians, and it was so that they can change their customs and values. Now, it was not an easy task for the Britishers because it took them many years to formulate a education policy or to formulate an education policy for the Indians, and what it was, this education policy, and how this education policy affected the Indians, and then the Indians how they reacted to this British policy or the British ideas, all that we will study in this chapter. Alright, so the first thing is the Orientalists. Now, the term Orientalism, it first came into use, means into currency, means it came into use in France in the 1830s, and then since then this word has been used in a variety of ways or to mean a variety of things, and it is used to represent a particular type of genre of romantic fantasy literature. When they talk about Orientalism in terms of literature, so they talk about fantasy, fantasy literature or romantic literature which is based on feelings and mysticism and imaginations rather than on reason. Then it also meant architecture and painting, and basically the term Orientalism is also used to mark out a certain kind of ideological understanding, means the study of the understanding of ideas of the East by the West. So when they wanted to refer to the East, so they used the term Orientalist. Now, the father of Orientalism, he was Sir William Jones, and he arrived in Calcutta in 1783, and he arrived as a judge of the Calcutta Supreme Court, and then he started a proper system of study of Indian classical literature or the Indian classical literature and the languages which were prevalent in India at that time. Then, in addition to being a judge, he was also a linguist, means he had a keen interest in the learning of languages, and he knew a lot many he also knew many languages. Then he has studied Greek and Latin at Oxford, and he also knew French and English. Then William Jones, he discovered that Sanskrit had a connection with the European group of languages. So he found out through his study and through his research that Sanskrit also had a connection with the languages which were prevalent in Europe, and astounded the classicist scholars of Europe. And when he said that Sanskrit had a connection with the languages of Europe, now this really surprised the linguists of Europe or the scholars of Europe. And so very soon William Jones, he started studying Indian texts or the Indian matter on law, philosophy, religion, politics, medicine, and the other sciences. So William Jones, he started to study the Indian languages, and not only the languages but whatever was written in Indian languages on philosophy, religion, politics, medicine, and so on. Now, Jones discovered that the interest that he had in the Indian literature and languages, it was also shared by many British officials who were living in Calcutta at that time. So the others like him were Nathaniel Halhed, Charles Wilkins, Henry T. Coolbrooke, they also were same, or you can say like-minded people, and they joined him with all their skills and talents in Indian languages. So whatever skill and talents these people had in knowing and studying Indian literature and languages, they also joined along with William Jones to find out more about the and to promote more the Indian literature and languages. Then the platform at which these people work, so they established a society which was known as the Asiatic Society, Calcutta, and this Jones he founded in 1784, and together these people they also started a journal, means a periodic journal, and which was called as the Asiatic Researches. So whatever they found out about the Indian languages and literature, things which were astounding and surprising and interesting, they used to write about in this particular journal or in this paper. Then in order to know about more about Oriental knowledge, Henry T. Coolbrooke, he was truly, in all terms, he was a successor, means he succeeded, came after Sir William Jones, and Jones he founded the Asiatic Society of Bengal, but it was Coolbrooke who built its superstructure, means so though the Asiatic Society it was founded by William Jones, but it was really Coolbrooke who really give it a shape and a proper structure to this Asiatic Society, and he established it as a great center of Oriental study in the East, means those who wanted to study about the East and its literature and its language and science and art and architecture and politics, so they could come and study in this particular Asiatic Society. Now, while at Tirhut as assistant collector of revenue, Coolbrooke developed an interest in the Sanskrit languages. So he was assistant collector of revenue, you know, those who collected the revenue, the taxes. So he worked as the assistant collector of revenue. So though while he was working as an assistant collector of revenue, at the same time he also developed an interest in the Sanskrit language, and Charles Wilkins is said to have initiated him into Sanskrit studies. So it is said that Charles Wilkins he got Coolbrooke interested in the Sanskrit language, but Coolbrooke's inclination was far more for economic inquiries than for Sanskrit. Now Coolbrooke he wanted to his inclination, means his interest was more into economic, means money matters and all that. He wanted to know more about money and trade and all that, rather than his inclination was for Sanskrit. But soon, so earlier when he started on, because you know he worked in the revenue department, so obviously he was more concerned about money and taxes and trade and all that, but later on he turned his wholehearted attention to the study of Sanskrit here in India. And in the Asiatic Researches he contributed frequently he used to contribute and write articles on the Hindu religion, the caste system here, the laws of India, and our customs, and so on. So are you all able to understand?
Yes,
All right, so basically
yes.
all right, that's nice. So you know the Britishers, by now they were already established here. Now they wanted to bring about changes in the society and in the customs and traditions of the people, and so that all we will study in this chapter also. But you know, many of the British officials who came here, they were also interested in the study and the promotion of Indian languages. There were other section of people who were interested. My voice is not clear.
Ma'am, your voice is not clear. No, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible.
Acha, you all can do one thing. Maybe because of some network issues, though I don't see that the network at my end is not very poor right now. It is quite good. I don't know what is the problem, but you can go through the recording. All right, and in that you won't have any lagging. You can hear my voice quite well in that. All right, all of you. So if you miss something,
Okay, ma'am.
if you miss something here, you can go and listen to it once. I will send you the link and you can hear it again. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Is my voice better now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. All right. So, like I was talking about these Anglicists, so though you see all these were British officials, all these were Englishmen, but still they were interested in the uh, education and the promotion of the Indian languages and literature. But we have another section of English people coming after them, and who were interested more in the spread of English language. We will also study about them in this chapter. First, but first, let's complete about the Orientalists and more about Coolbrook. So now Coolbrook, he wrote on the Vedas also, then on the Sanskrit grammar. So we do not know so much about Sanskrit, but though he being a British official, but still he studied and he researched, and then he wrote about the Hindu religion and caste and the customs, and he even wrote about the Vedas, the Sanskrit grammar, and he had his papers on algebra, arithmetic, astronomy, and even geography. And then for the Fort William College, Schoolbrook, he edited the Amarakosa. What is Amarakosa? It was a Sanskrit dictionary. So he even edited the dictionary. So if a person is editing a dictionary, you could well understand his knowledge about that particular language or that particular subject. And his eminence means he was really renowned and famous Orientalist and scientist. It earned him many awards and felicitations and commemorations, and from all the royal societies during his lifetime. And because of his work, the work that he did, which was really praiseworthy, he got so many awards and felicitations throughout his lifetime. Now, Jones and Coolbrook, they not only discovered the ancient Indian texts, but they also spread their meanings. They simply did not read about it themselves, but they also spread it to others. And all this they did because they believed that it would help both the Britishers as well as the Indians. And the Britishers, they will learn about the Indian culture, and the Indians, they will rediscover their past. So what they thought, that why all this study about the Indian text is and the Indian literature and past is important, because they thought that when they study about it, they will come to know about India more, because they were ruling here, they were ruling over India and Indian people. So they thought it will help them to know about the customs and the traditions of the people more. And then the Indians, when they get to know about those studies, they will also know about their ancient past and rediscover and get to know about it again. Then a madrasa. It was built in Calcutta in 1781, and this religious school, as you know, it was a madrasa, so it was to promote the study of Arabic, Persian, and the Islamic law. Then in 1791, the Hindu college was set up in Benares, and this was to encourage the study of ancient Sanskrit texts. But not all the British officials, they accepted these view of the Orientalists, and many, they also very strongly criticized the opinions of the Orientalists. Okay, so we will study about them later on. Today we will do till here. And have you all understood what we did today? Yes, class 8? Were you all able to understand what we did today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
So what you all,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, that is nice. And just go through this section and the rest of the chapter also, so that when we meet again, um, I think we meet on Wednesday again. So if you have any queries, you can ask me that day also, and just go through the chapter, read it thoroughly. Is that okay, all of you?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Yes, ma'am.
right.